Hey again, welcome back to our read alouds. It's Mr. Lohn. Little different setting today. I'm in our conference room because the library is being used for some math activities. But I'm excited to start off March read alouds and to start the celebration of Women's History Month. With that said, I think it's perfect that during this Read Across America week that we get to kick off Women's History Month. And I'm going to read a book today that's called Amelia to Zora, 26 Women Who Changed the World. I'm not going to read the whole book, but I have some selected, it's an A to Z book, and it talks about a special woman who had a huge impact on history for each letter, and I'm going to read a few of them today, and I hope you enjoy. I hope you learn something. Love reading a book that's nonfiction, that is a collective biography, that gives us information about individuals who have left their mark on the world. Here we go. Amelia to Zora, 26 Women Who Changed the World. A is for Amelia, celebrated pilot and adventurer. When she was 7, Amelia Earhart, her sister, and a neighbor built a roller coaster. They made the tracks from fence rails, propped on a tool shed roof, and the cab from a wood packing box attached to roller skate wheels. Amelia took the first ride on the homemade coaster, which was so steep she somersaulted head over heels when the cab hit the ground. Later, at age 23, she was struck with flying fever after going to an air show. Amelia worked several jobs so she could afford flying lessons. On her 24th birthday, Amelia bought her own plane. Amelia set many records. She was the first woman to fly solo across the United States. She was the first person to fly alone from Hawaii to California. In 1937, the now world-famous Amelia and her navigator attempted to fly around the world. They had made 3/4 of the almost 30,000-mile journey when they disappeared over the Pacific Ocean. F is for Frida, painter and folklorist. Frida Kahlo, Mexico's most famous woman artist. She was a free-spirited, and naughty child. She often got into trouble with her strict mother, but was the favorite of her father, a photographer. When Frida was 6, she was stricken with polio, which made her right leg stop growing. To strengthen herself, she played what were then considered boys' sports: soccer, wrestling, and boxing. At age 18, Frida was almost killed in a serious bus accident. During her long recovery from this accident, Frida began to paint. She showed her paintings to Mexico's most famous painter, Diego Rivera. Later, they were married. Both Frida's marriage and health had their ups and downs, but through her suffering, she painted with humor and imagination. In addition to canvas, she painted on surfaces like copper, tin, and wood. She taught art to students in Mexico City, encouraging them to draw and paint everyday things such as jars, furniture, and toys. J is for Jane, chimpanzee expert and scientific naturalist. One night when Jane Goodall was little, her family couldn't find her and called the police. Jane had snuck into the farm's henhouse to watch the chickens. She said, "Where is the hole big enough for the eggs to come out?" After reading stories about Africa, Jane dreamed of going there to live with wild animals. Years later, she sailed to Africa and worked with anthropologist Louis Leakey. At his suggestion, Jane began her famous studies of chimpanzees. She watched a chimp who poked a termite mound for food by using a twig. Her discovery that animals, and not just humans, could use tools changed the current thinking in animal studies. Not content to simply study and number her chimpanzees, Jane named each chimp and described their personalities and relationships. L is for Lena, entertainer and civil rights activist. Lena Horne had a difficult childhood. Her home life was unstable, so Lena often lived with relatives. At age 16, Lena started her own career, first as a dancer and then as a singer. As a black singer, she faced much racism. Lena performed for white audiences, but was sometimes banned from staying in the same hotels as whites. Lena had the opportunity to work in Hollywood, so she moved from the East Coast to California. However, she couldn't get good parts and refused to take parts that portrayed blacks as menial. Throughout her life, Lena has supported the civil rights movement by donating time and money to groups that promote equal treatment for people of all races. In her show business career, Lena spent most of her time entertaining in clubs and in concert. And in 1981, she won a special Tony Award for her show, Lena Horne, The Lady and Her Music. Z is for Zora, novelist, folklorist, and anthropologist. Sassy and proud, Zora Neale Hurston liked to do things her own way. As a little girl, she enjoyed making up stories, and her favorite place was the general store, where she listened to her neighbors swapping tall tales. Zora's English teacher encouraged her writing, and she won a magazine story contest. In 1925, she moved to New York and won a scholarship to study anthropology. As an anthropologist, Zora traveled to the South and the Caribbean to collect the stories of African Americans. Zora wrote many articles and books. Some criticized her for her viewpoints on race and for writing folklore, which some thought stereotyped other blacks. Undaunted, Zora wrote true to her own beliefs and is widely admired for her writings. So, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed, at least for today, a few of those biographies, those biographical segments there on 6 women who just made major impacts on the world. Let's make sure we celebrate Women's History Month, celebrate women's history all through the year, the great accomplishments, and I'll be back with another read aloud tomorrow again. Take care.